Unatazama Ndizi TV. Afrika.
Naam, mpenzi mtazamaji wa runinga ya Ndizi TV Afrika, ni matumaini yangu kwamba ubuheri wa afya na ukaribisha katika taarifa zetu za Ndizi Saa Moja, chanzo chako cha habari za haraka, za kweli na za kina. Leo tunakujuza matukio muhimu yaliyokumba jamii yetu pamoja na taarifa za kisiasa, kiuchumi, burudani na michezo. Endelea kutazama ili upate habari za hivi punde, uchambuzi wa kina na maoni kutoka kwa wataalam. Ikiwa kwamba leo hii ni siku ya Alhamisi tarehe 20 mwezi wa 11 mwaka 2025. Langu jina Oroo Nelpha na mwelekezi wangu akiwa ni Bwana Alex Mongari. Na tukianza ni kwamba Rais William Ruto kwa mara ya tatu amehutubia taifa mchana wa leo kutoka majengo ya Bunge Kuu la Kitaifa, akieleza hatua zilizopigwa katika wizara mbalimbali ikiwemo kilimo, uchukuzi na masuala ya uchumi. Rais Ruto amesifu mpango wa bima ya afya ya jamii SHA, akisema ujasiri wa zaidi ya Wakenya milioni 27 ni ishara kuwa wananchi wamepata huduma bora za afya. Aidha, Rais Ruto amesisitiza kuwa serikali yake inafanya kazi ya kuboresha vituo vya matibabu ya saratani ili kuhakikisha huduma sawa za afya kwa wote nchini Kenya.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, let me now turn to healthcare, the foundation of human dignity and the heartbeat of every nation that chooses compassion over neglect. Over the last 3 years, we have undertaken the most ambitious transformation of health systems since independence. Reforms rooted in equity, powered by innovation, and guided by a simple conviction that every Kenyan, wherever they live and whatever their means, deserves equal care. 27 million Kenyans are now registered in SHA, more than triple the number ever reached by the former NHIF. This is a demonstration that leaving no one behind was and is not a slogan. It is a promise on course to fulfillment. Additionally, more than 10,000 health facilities across the country have signed in to serve under this new system. But honorable members, real healthcare begins long before patients reach a hospital. That is why in September 2023, we deployed 107,000 community health promoters, the largest primary health workforce in our history, trained, equipped, and present in every ward in all our 47 counties. Their impact has been extraordinary. Consider 3 statistics. 8.9 million households have so far been visited. 9.9 million diabetes screenings have been done with 134,000 cases diagnosed. 6.5 million hypertension screenings have been conducted with 305,000 cases confirmed. Millions of lives have been touched and thousands saved. This is what equity looks like. This is the meaning of universal health care. This is leaving no Kenyan behind indeed. Behind these numbers stand the community health promoters, quiet, devoted, tireless, heroes of this new era. Today, we honor them. We thank them. To them, we say Kenya is healthier because of you. Mr. Speaker, when I promised that those unable to pay would be supported by government under UHC, the cynics scoffed as usual. Today, we are paying premiums for 2.3 million vulnerable Kenyans, including orphans, widows, the elderly, and those without income. Because for them, healthcare is not a privilege. And I must commend members of this august House who have stepped in to support vulnerable families in this gesture. We are also modernizing hospital equipment through the National Equipment Service Project, replacing the old MES model that burdened counties with heavy upfront costs. Under the new fee-for-service system, private partners install, maintain, and run state-of-the-art equipment, and public facilities pay only when they use them. We have overhauled KEMSA to end the chronic crisis of drug shortages, raising medicine availability from 48% to 68%, and to a projected 90% by the end of this year and 100% by March next year. This is more than healthcare reform. It is a long-deferred promise, finally taking shape. A Kenya where every citizen can face tomorrow with confidence, knowing their nation
Na kwingineko ni kwamba katika suala la elimu, Rais Ruto amepongeza azma ya serikali kuhakikisha kwamba wanafunzi wanapata elimu bora, na amesema kuwa hivi sasa walimu ambao wameandikwa ni 1076, na amesema kuwa kuna wale 24 ambao watarejea ifikapo Januari mwaka huu.
Honorable members, when I assumed office, our education sector was in distress with a strained CBC transition, a chronic teacher deficit, universities on the edge of insolvency, and overstretched infrastructure. We moved quickly to restore education as the great equalizer. Through the student-centered funding model, scholarships and loans now follow need and merit, placing the learner at the center. Nearly 500,000 students have already benefited from this model. We then tackled the teacher crisis head-on. We have hired, as you all know, 76,000 teachers, with 24,000 more to be brought in by January next year. That will translate universities on the edge of insolvency and overstretched infrastructure. We moved quickly to restore education as the great equalizer. Through the student-centered funding model, scholarships and loans now follow need and merit, placing the learner at the center. Nearly 500,000 universities on the edge of insolvency and overstretched infrastructure. We moved quickly to restore education as the great equalizer. Through the student-centered funding model, scholarships and loans now follow need and merit, placing the learner at the center. Nearly 500,000 students have already benefited. Through the student-centered funding model, scholarships and loans now follow need and merit, placing the learner at the center. Nearly 500,000 students have already benefited from this model. We then tackled the teacher crisis head-on. We have hired, as you all know, 76,000 teachers, with 24,000 more to be brought in by January next year. That will translate to 100,000 teachers in 3 years, an achievement unmatched in the history of our country. Together with the national government CDF, we have delivered 23,000 new classrooms and 1,600 laboratories are under construction, easing congestion and giving CBC the dignified facilities it requires. TVET has become the engine of practical skills. Enrollment has leaped from 341,000 in 2022 to 718,000 as young Kenyans embrace engineering, ICT, modern agriculture, hospitality, design, and the trades that power a modern economy. In strengthening education at every level, we are giving life to the national values in Article 10, especially equity, human dignity, and sustainable development, ensuring every child.
Na kwingineko, Rais William Ruto ameipongeza timu iliyohusika na ujenzi wa nyumba 1230 za bei nafuu, akibainisha kuwa baadhi ya nyumba hizo zitatolewa kwa taasisi ya elimu. Ujenzi wa masoko wa kisasa katika sehemu mbalimbali za nchi pia unaendelea ili kuunga mkono biashara ndogo na kukuza biashara nchini. Hadi sasa mradi wa nyumba za bei nafuu umeleta ajira zaidi ya 1428 kwa wataalamu kama wabainifu wa majengo, wabunifu wa mabambo ya ndani na wafanyikazi wenye ujuzi mwingi. Aidha, Rais Ruto amesema kwamba serikali inatarajia kufanikisha uundaji wa ajira karibu milioni 1 mwaka ujao.
The cynics dismissed it. They said it was fantasy. When they realized we were serious, they called it impossible. And when we broke ground across the country, they suggested that these projects would stall. Today, those doubts have given way to a very different question from Kenyans everywhere. How do I own one of these units? That is now the question. Across the country, we are delivering the most extensive housing rollout in Kenya's history. 230,000 affordable homes. And we meet student needs. 178,000 beds have been packaged for universities, TVETs, KMTCs, with 74,000 already under construction, transforming a sector where fewer than 10% once had decent accommodation. Additionally, 270 modern markets are taking shape nationwide, providing vital spaces for women and MSMEs, with another 175 underway, expanding the backbone of local commerce. And through the Nairobi River Regeneration Program, 44,000 young people are restoring the river corridor and preparing sites for 10,000 social homes along the renewed riverfront. The program, the housing program, including markets and hostels, has created over 428,000 jobs. Jobs that include architects, engineers, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, masons, steel workers, transporters, and thousands of MSMEs in fittings, fabrication, and interior design work. At peak next year, it will employ at least 1 million Kenyans. Honorable members, this program is far more than housing. It is a national empowerment engine, creating jobs, formalizing the informal sector, revitalizing micro, small, and medium enterprises, restoring our environment, and building resilient communities. It advances equity, dignity, and sustainable development, the very values anchored in Article 10 of our Constitution.
Na mwishowe kwenye hotuba yake, Rais William Ruto alisema kuwa kuboresha mfumo wa usafiri nchini ni muhimu kwa ukuaji wa biashara. Kwa kuzingatia hilo, serikali yake kupitia Wizara ya Barabara imeweka mpango wa miaka 10 kwa kuboresha barabara kuu na barabara nyingi kote nchini. Aidha, mipango ya kushughulikia changamoto katika uwanja wa ndege wa JKIA na viwanja vingine vya ndege imepewa kipaumbele na inatarajiwa kutekelezwa kufika Januari mwaka ujao.
Japan's post-war revival, enabled by strategic road expansion, is a clear example. From only 2,000 kilometers of road, they constructed over 1 million kilometers of paved road in 7 decades. We in Kenya, you know, we have only constructed 22,000 kilometers over a relatively similar period. To scale up, ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, our transport and logistics program, the Ministry of Roads and Transport have already mapped out a comprehensive network of 2,500 kilometers of highway for dualing and 28,000 kilometers of road to be tarmacked over the next 10 years. We will onboard private-public partnership in the modernization of Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, Mombasa and Lamu Airport, and sort out the challenges facing Kenya Airways by next year. This work is already in progress. Next week, I will launch the dualing of the 170-kilometer Rironi-Naivasha-Nakuru-Mau Summit Road. On the same day, I will break ground on the dualing of the 58-kilometer Rironi-Mai-Mahiu-Naivasha Road. The gridlock that paralyzes these roads every day, especially on weekends and holidays, will soon, by God's grace, be a thing of the past. Additionally, roads earmarked for dualing include Muthaiga Kiambu Ndumberi, Machakos Junction Mariakani, Mau Summit Kericho Kisumu, Kisumu Busia, Mau Summit Eldoret Malaba, Athi River Namanga, Karatina Nanyuki Isiolo, Makutano Embu Meru Maua, Mtwapa Malindi Mombasa, all the way to Lungalunga, Kericho Kisii Migori Isabenia, and Nakuru Nyahururu Karatina Kisii Oyugis Ahero. The Northern Bypass, James Gishuru Roads, Bomas Karen Gong, and Bomas Ongata Rongai Kiserian, including Gong Isinya and Naivasha to Kikuyu, among many other key corridors nationwide. This infrastructure drive will also include extending the standard gauge railway from Naivasha to Kisumu and eventually to Malaba. And that exercise, ladies and gentlemen, is beginning in January. In just 2 months, we will be beginning that.
Naam, shukran sana mpenzi mtazamaji kwa wakati wako, ila usende mbali wakati ambapo ninaenda mapumziko kwa muda usio mrefu. Nitakaporejea tutazidi kuzungumza vile ambavyo Wakenya wameomba kuzingatia usafi nyumbani ndiposa kuepuka magonjwa. Usende mbali.